Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday Wake Up Morning Show with the Teach Better team, where we get to be live every single Wednesday to be a part of your week, get you kick-started. We are almost halfway through the week. It's officially Wednesday, and we have a lot in store for our conversation. Jeff Gargas is in the house, so you know it's going to be a good show, or at least, I don't know, there might be a joke or two. We'll be right back. Go fill up your coffee. Good morning, everyone. We are live for our Wednesday Wake Up Morning Show with the Teach Better team. I am so excited to say good morning to you as I am in my fifth or sixth sip of this morning coffee. Jeff Gargas, how are you?
One, I thought you were going to say fifth or sixth cup, and I was like, whoa, what kind of morning have you been having?
Whoa, I would love another cup. If somebody could come fill this up, that would be outstanding.
Also, just curious if anybody else, when you said Jeff Gargas is in the house, part of my brain went to the old horror stories of the calls coming from inside the house. Dave calls you, he's like, the Jeff's inside the house, Ray. The Jeff's inside, and I don't know. I thought it was a horror story. I don't know. We're not.
It's not a horror story. No,
we're not
it's
doing
Wednesday Wake Up, and
Good
we're
morning,
streaming on.
Good morning, Mark. Good morning.
Morning, Mark. Morning, Lorianne. Yeah, we're going to say hi to everybody. I will say we are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. So if you're not following us on all those, especially YouTube, because we have cool stuff going on there, make sure you follow us there.
Can I admit to something right off the bat? Can we just get really vulnerable and transparent?
Are you about to admit that you don't follow us on YouTube? Because you should.
No, I am about to admit that I was practicing Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn this morning because I'm I need to, when I have to say something later on, I need to get this right. So know that if I get it wrong later, it's just ruining my day.
But you know that's how it goes. If you practice something over and over and over and you're stressing about it, then the moment you need to do it really well, typically I mess it up.
I don't know who said the practice makes perfect, but I don't think that's right.
Honestly, I have found that a little bit of practice and then totally going off the cuff works better for me. And you know that.
That is pretty good.
If I practice over and over, if I have a speech and I write it out word for word, then I'm going to mess it up and it's not going to be genuine. But if I do bullet points and only have a vague idea of what I need to talk about with some key highlights, I'm way better.
I saw you present last week and that was proof.
Oh, yeah, I did present last week. Jeff and I were in New Orleans, and the joke is, guys, I knew what I was presenting on, but every single time I'm with Jeff, he over prepares. So he's like, are you ready? Do you know what you're saying? So the whole time I was like, no, I have no idea. Do I have slides? I have no idea. And Jeff then came to the session. He's like, oh, you really did know what you're talking about. I'm like, yes.
I never have any actual worry. I just enjoy it because you're like, what kind of feedback do you have? And I'm like, just do that every time.
But I told him, I was like, I have no idea. Hopefully they don't hand me a microphone. It was great.
It was good. You didn't need a microphone either. You're very loud.
Well, that's because I'm loud. Middle school teacher at heart, we like to yell and dance and jump around. And Jeff, I had cool shoes. So I was able to get around the room real easy.
You did have some cool shoes on.
Shout out to cool Nikes out there. I got my first pair of shoes that, I don't know, aren't slides the other day, and apparently they it keeps your feet warm and they stay on your feet and you can do all this cool stuff.
It's a big day for you. That was exciting.
You know what, Jeff? Happy February 1st, by the way. Valentine's Day is coming up. We got through January.
That's true. It is February. Amy's birthday's my wife's birthday's coming up too. It's the day after Valentine's Day, actually.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's so much to celebrate.
Exciting month. Yes.
It's such an exciting month. There's a lot of exciting things that we haven't told our team about that's going on.
Are we telling them right now?
No.
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 Just making sure. Don't want to pull a Joshua Stamper.
Yeah, don't pull Joshua Stamper and share spoilers. We do need to talk about what's going on in February, but that feels way too official. We're only 4 minutes in. Can we talk about this thing that happened to me last night?
Sure. What happened last night?
Hi, guys. Good morning. I have a complaint. I don't know that it's a complaint, Jeff. It's more like an observation that I found creepy and yet respected. That's where I'm at.
Okay.
I can't think of an example of something to here's what happened. So I fell asleep without an alarm set. Terrible idea, right?
Yeah, not good.
So I woke up kind of in like a panic and was
Like
like,
woke up
oh my
this morning or
goodness,
woke up like
in the middle of the
late
night.
last night? Okay.
Woke up in the middle of the night and was like, oh my gosh, I don't know that I set an alarm. But in my, my room, it's like the dogs are sleeping. I don't want to like cause a stir. And to be honest, I didn't really want to fully wake up. I just wanted to like
Sure.
half wake up, set an alarm, and go back to sleep because it's like 1
Yeah.
a.m., right?
Yeah.
So I lean over to, I don't want to say her name, the music box, the thing that talks to me, starts with an A, rhymes
Your
with
Amazon
Alexa.
thingy.
Yeah, my Amazon thingy. And I whispered because I was trying to be quiet myself. I whispered,
She whispered
hey,
back.
hey, whatever, can you please set a alarm for 5 a.m.?
Yeah.
And she whispered back. Did you
whisper
know?
mode.
Did you
It's
know
whisper
that was
mode.
a thing?
Yeah. It's made for exactly that, so that if you don't want her to reply loudly, because maybe you have it turned normally very loud because you're running around and you have music playing and stuff, you're able to whisper, and then she doesn't wake the dogs up or wake up everyone else in the house. Yeah, we do that.
But that's the thing. There was this moment where I was like, good job, girly. Nice job. And then there was this other moment where I was like, oh, that was so creepy and unexpected, and I don't know how I feel about that.
Do you ever thank her? Do you thank her? I thank her all the time.
I did, and then she whispered back,
She's like,
anytime, Rae.
I'm always watching.
That's the thing.
Always
So like, there's those, I don't know what it's called, but there's those things on like TikTok and Instagram of people just doing like really quiet sounds. It's like
ASMR.
There we go. I felt like we were having a moment, and I'm like, no. You can be you, robot in the corner. I just need an alarm set, and then I'm going back to bed.
She whispers, don't worry, your hair looks great.
It's so creepy. And like this comment right here, from our Facebook group. And by the way, if you're not in our Facebook group, you can go join for free over at teachbettergroup.com. We have like over 7,000 educators that hang out there. It says, we whisper to her all the time. My kids think it's funny. Okay, it is funny if you know it's coming.
If you
like in the middle of the night.
You must have whispered it because you were trying to be quiet. Yeah, so that's how you discovered, huh? That's funny.
It was so creepy, and I just want you to know that if you've gotten nothing out of today's video, I want to go whisper to your music box. That's all I'm saying.
You told me that this was a complaint. I don't hear a complaint anywhere.
I think it's...
Or is a complaint on how long it takes you to figure out how cool things are?
No, my complaint is that
like you just discovered Nikes. Now you're discovering things that
I don't think
A-lady says.
I don't think robots should respond in a way that is human-like without a warning. That's all I'm saying. Like, I know what to expect out of the really annoying thing that I have in my house. And when it reacts differently, it freaks me out. See, this person has a comment here. This comment says the first time hearing the whisper was surprising. Yeah, imagine hearing it at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And I was using Alexa, not Google. But does Google whisper?
I would imagine it probably does.
Do you have a Google in your house, or are you all
we have a whole bunch of Alexas.
Yeah, I do too. That's what I'm saying.
We have one in every room in the house.
Yes. So can somebody message? And by the way, I feel like I didn't buy one for every room of the house, but then I kept getting like inheriting them because there was a time when this came out and people would gift it like crazy. And that I just feel like I got too many that now there is everyone in every room.
I actually won our first one. I won it at a conference. I've never won anything ever. I put my business card in a raffle and I won it.
See?
That was the first one I got. And that's the one that's upstairs. And then bought one during like I don't know, one of the Amazon sale when it was like super cheap. And then the kids really like it. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll get one in each one of their rooms. That way they can play music and they like to ask at the weather so they know what to wear and stuff. And then I'm like, well, we might as well get one in our room too. And then I have one in my office too. So
this is not an ad because it would be the worst ad of all time because I'm actually not happy with the thing. I really don't want to say the word because there is one in this room and it'll be like, ding, are you talking to me? Be like, no. But
did she do that? That'd be hilarious if that's how she responded. Ding, ding, are you talking to me?
But I do want to know if anyone
hilarious if she whispers like all the time, no matter how you speak, she just always whispers now.
I think I just want it to be an expected thing. Like nothing should be surprising at
What do you want her to do if
1
you're like, hey, da da da, and she's like, I'm about to whisper. I've set your alarm for 7. Like, she
Or
tells you first,
or if there was a moment where she was like, Rae,
just a
thank you
heads
for
up. I
setting
whisper.
Yeah, Rae, thank you for setting up whisper mode. I will always whisper sweet nothings to you from now on, unless you change this mode. And then I'd be like, okay. And then I would know. Whatever. All I'm saying is if anybody has Google out there, I want to know if it whispers. And if you have Alexa, then just know that it does. So if you do it to her at 1 a.m., it's creepy.
Yeah, and if she doesn't, you have to go in and set it up. Like it's a mode you can turn on and off.
It's not a mode I ever turned on and off, so I'd like to file a complaint with
maybe she made a decision on her own.
Which is the problem. Exactly.
I don't know. I don't know if some of the newer Echoes do this or not, but I know like Google, at least it's been a while since I played with a Google, but several years ago, my buddy had they have Google all through their house. And cool thing about Google is it learns your individual voices.
Yeah.
So like you said, well, like Alexa doesn't do that.
Well, she knows my voice. I'm the only one that talks to her.
Yeah, but like if it would be like if I said something, she would potentially respond with "Sure thing, Jeff." Where if Amy did something, you can set up like different calendars and stuff like that. So it's like when I say, "Hey, add XYZ to my calendar," but add it's like mine, and it would add it, stuff like that. So
no, you're missing the point. I'm fine with robots taking over the world to make me more efficient and effective. What I'm not okay is them like whispering to me in the middle of the night.
Okay, so everything else is fair game. The whisper is the weird.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not anti-technology. Like, help me out, do my life
when they
for
rise
me.
up and have to imprison us and kill us because we're destroying ourselves,
that's
like an iRobot, you just want them to be like, don't whisper. You're going to be.
Don't respond in a human way. If you want to make me more efficient, effective, if you want to help me scale my lifestyle,
I think the next 5 to 10 years is going to be really rough for you because I'm pretty sure it's going to get more.
I just don't like the unexpected. Hey Rae, let's have a moment together and whisper in bed. Like that's not okay. I don't need to whisper with you. It's fine. Okay, we're going into teachable moment. I'm creeping myself out. Goodbye. Jeff, I really wanted to move on, but the comments are blowing up.
I was gonna go, welcome back. It's the Wednesday one with Teach Better Team. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. I'm so glad you guys are here with us today. Awesome Wednesday so far. But I just want to comment. Someone, I don't know who it was because they're in a group and Facebook likes to give you your cool little blank avatar. Just ask. Google does not whisper.
So that's I'm gonna be I'm converted. I'm gonna go get all
by the way,
those.
like if you're listening right now on the podcast, you might be in your car. I don't know if you have like the auto because I know like they have like a Alexa for your car. I don't know if they have a Google. Can someone find out? Do they have a Google for your car too? Because I've looked at getting Alexa in my car and I'm like, why would I do that? Because you're like I have CarPlay and stuff like that.
Does it.
But you can get like an Alexa in your car too.
Yeah, but I don't need that because I
think
can
it's
just say,
well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like I'm curious if anybody has that to know whether.
Guys, this is such a dangerous conversation because to even have it, like we're gonna spark stuff. I was gonna be like, "Hey Siri," and now it's gonna talk.
Well, she's not paying attention. Apparently, Alexa, are you not paying attention to me? Oh, she's paying attention now.
Okay, I do have to say,
she's not sure about that.
I do have to say, this is what I wanted. This comment says all they can do is lower the volume. That's what Alexa should have done. It shouldn't be like a whisper, like an audible.
That's actually all it does. Is it just lowers the volume?
No, it's not. No, it's not. Go listen. I'm telling you, she whispered.
All she does is lower the volume of her voice and pet your hair. That's all she does.
It's so creepy. I hate it.
Julie says she's fully convinced Google Home is self-aware.
Yes, I'm telling you. Thank you, Julie. I totally agree.
Yeah, yeah. Someone saying you wouldn't like ASMR. Jacqueline loves it. She listens to it every night. That's like it's one of the most common things in the world for Jacqueline. She listens to ASMR.
I don't dislike it. You're missing the point. It's not that I don't like.
I know that's just a separate. Yeah.
It's just that it shouldn't be unexpected by a machine that's just setting an alarm to wake up for Wednesday wake up. That's all I'm saying. I'm cool with technology taking over the world.
Let's go somewhere else today. You
Fine.
said you had stuff to talk about for this too. So Ray basically had the entire show figured out. Typically, I'm supposed to think of something. I thought of nothing. So Ray, you have this one too. So what did you watch Jexy? What's Jexy?
I don't know it, but I feel like there's been a lot of comments in it so far in the show of like creepy horror films
Yeah,
related
someone said
to
don't watch
talking about.
Megan. So
Megan, I know, is in there.
yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen
So
that. I'm like, I don't think I want to watch it. Yeah, that's
guys,
okay.
I only do rom-coms, people falling in love, and then no machines whispering to me. Yep. Mhm. Mhm. Anyway, it is play day, so shout out to Brienne Fennel, who's always, like advocating for play. Today is play day, which is exciting.
Is it every day a play day at Teach Better?
I mean, every day is a play day at Teach Better, but there's something like for real happening today because it's February 1st, which is exciting. So that isn't our topic, but find a reason to play today. I'm
Yes,
all about that.
it's also talking about it's also started Black History Month. So
Oh, cool.
learn.
Yes. Go learn. I love it.
Yes.
So Jeff, the topic that I wanted to bring up to our community today is a little unconventional, but since we've been talking about robots whispering to us, I think we can just like stick with it if that's okay.
It really doesn't matter. Yeah. Yeah. At this
Okay.
point, we can go wherever.
Okay, here's the deal. So yesterday, I was working on all these different projects. We have a course coming out in February that is happening in the middle of the month. We have our Edupreneur Mastermind that's getting this like whole refresh right now. And we also are supporting our grant that we got last year, actually around this time, where we're supporting like a third of the state of Ohio. And our comments and support yesterday for them had to do with communication. So as I was looking at the three different projects I was working on yesterday, I realized that while we typically talk about classroom suggestions, teacher suggestions, leadership suggestions, I'd love to take us today, if possible, looking at educators sharing their voice. And in a lot of sense, educators share their voices on podcasts, they write blogs, but some of the other educators in our community write books that they either self-publish or get a publisher for. They have like side businesses where they like consult with school districts or speak professionally. We have all these different educators kind of doing professional development for one another. And so the course coming out in February actually focuses on supporting educators knowing just enough about marketing so that they feel successful when they launch something new, like a downloadable resource or a book or whatever. I thought we could stay in a little bit of a business realm.
I don't feel comfortable in this at all.
That's not true because you taught me everything I know.
I don't agree with educators sharing things or trying to increase their impact or doing any of that stuff. So
you couldn't even say that with a straight face. You literally couldn't even say it.
Well, yeah, no, I love this this topic. I had like 3 meetings yesterday that were with miscellaneous people that are trying to do stuff like this. I love it.
And I know we don't talk about it very often because I know that like as a full family, we talk like education and we try and share everything for free related to really like instructional practices and also anything that works in a classroom to better support our kids.
Yeah.
And yet I feel my job, your job, I know Josh's job, so many of us on the team actually have this whole other component of our life where people either reach out to us or join communities that are actually kind of hidden within Teach Better to help you with some business stuff too. And I do think that this relates to educators being even more successful in the classroom because you're kind of looking at education with a different perspective, but it is seen as kind of dirty or like wrong to see education as a business. But so many of the people in our community do have small little business roles within this field, whether it be because they're managing a budget within their district or they're pursuing something where they're trying to get something out into the world. And frankly, even just like sharing something out into the world can be viewed with a business lens. So there's kind of, I was wondering if we could just kind of dive into some of this. I don't know what direction you think is most interesting, but I know that educators meet weekly within our group and our Edupreneur Mastermind to talk about this stuff. So seemed valuable.
Yeah, I don't know where we want to go with this, but there's a lot, and you kind of touched on a piece of it. Maybe we'll start there and then see where it goes. And that's the and I actually had a conversation last night. It was funny. I had a conversation last night, and it was 2 teachers, and the one teacher she said something that they did with their business. They're still in the classroom, do this on the side, and she shared like how they set a pricing or a conversation she had, and she said, "Yeah, you see what I did there was like a business thingy." Which one
Yeah.
we just had like total Rae vibes, by the way. But like it was this moment of it. We have this thing where like as educators, we're like, well, I don't want to shame business because that's not, because we have as educators, you have a servant mentality, which it takes a very special kind of person to go into this field and to have that focus. And so if you start thinking about things like asking for someone to pay for you to do something or selling something or whatever, you get this kind of like, I don't know what the word, if you said icky, almost icky feeling for lack of a better term,
Yes.
right? This like whatever. And when we started Chad had it, you had it, like
Yeah.
we all, it was there. And for me, the key is to think like whether you're in charge for it or not, or you're just trying to build a brand to share something or whatever. The idea is if you're doing it for the right reasons, it's okay. And if you do make some money and whatever, if you're doing the right things with that, then that's okay. Because if you are building it as a business to sustain and grow, you need to make some money in order to increase your impact and do it. And so the focus is on why are you actually doing it? Like, what is your actual reason? And by the
Can
way,
I say,
making money to like help cover bills and stuff is a perfectly valid reason because you're going to accidentally
yeah,
help a bunch of people too. But like most of the time when we talk to people, it's because they're like, this thing was working for me or for my school or whatever, and I really want to share it, or I'm just super passionate about this and I want other educators to be passionate about it. And like the potential you have to impact other students that you would never have the opportunity to impact is incredible. And that's where like Chad and I always talk about is like he had an opportunity when as a teacher to impact 130-ish kids a year, and now we estimate that he impacts millions of kids a year. Like
yeah.
wasn't easy for him to leave when he had to leave, but that's how we got through it. So anyway,
I do
sorry, that was
want to say I think there's a spectrum that I want educators to be aware of as we get into this conversation. One element is like the total extreme business side where you're like, I'm trying to do something in a business field that is going to have me leave education so that I can go start a company or what. That's like one extreme. Then there's like as we go down the spectrum, it's like I'm releasing a book and I want it to sell because I want to get it into teachers' hands, or I want people to pay me to do keynotes at school districts or conferences.
I want to
Or
sell some things on Teachers Pay Teachers or
yes, I
put
want
out
to
some
sell things.
courses. Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. Or I even further than away from that, I just want people to download my resource. I'll give it away for free, but they need to give me their email. So like there's an element of like they still have to give me something, but it's not financial getting something. And then the other extreme, which I really think is important to note, is even if you're a teacher in the classroom, you don't have a side gig, you're not pursuing anything that you perceive as quote unquote business. I will tell you that understanding this mentality really helped me a few years ago, Jeff, because we worked on this for years. This is something I've really struggled with starting to see things that happen in education as not personally happening to me and actually just happening in the field I work in. So when you have this servant mentality, everything that happens feels personal because it doesn't feel like a job. So when a parent comes to you and they're upset or angry, it feels like they're upset or angry with me in my core and I've done something wrong. Whereas when you start to take a few steps back, not in a way that's inappropriate, but a few steps back saying, no, if I can see this as a business in some regard, then I'm looking at the situation. They're upset with an element of the business of the company, but it's not me. It's something that occurred that we can fix. And I think that when we remove some of the personal nature, which is so difficult in education, some of these approaches, some of these mindsets can actually help us, even if we're not pursuing anything else. We really do need to see our role as more than just what we do because we serve students. But it is our job, and it's okay to kind of work within this scale.
Yeah, I agree.
So
where do you want to go with this?
Well, so I
That's a
kind of
really good
highlight,
point. Yeah.
I want to highlight a few things. One is we share tips about this all the time. So if any of you are ever pursuing any of this, whether it be right now or 10 years from now, please reach out because we love talking shop. And Jeff, I know our mentality is like you and I and Chad have made every mistake possible. And so not every mistake, but a lot of mistakes.
We're working on all of them though. We're going to get them all eventually. Yeah.
So if anyone is pursuing something, like let us tell you all the mistakes so that you hopefully don't make the same ones. Maybe I'll make different ones and that'll be, a part of life.
And we can learn from that.
Exactly. So the more the merrier. So feel free to reach out. But our Edupreneur Mastermind group meets every single week to essentially talk shop about this mentality, about this approach, I know I've even sat in on Edupreneur Mastermind where they're talking about vocabulary that I'm just not exposed to. As an educator, I have a undergraduate degree in middle level education, a master's in curriculum instruction. No one ever told me what SEO was until I met you. There's like business lingo that you guys have discussed. And then our course that I know is coming out here in a few weeks in the Teach Better Academy is literally just on marketing, but for educators. And so I'm not sure what would be most interesting, but I think a huge part of this is understanding that these conversations are happening.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to, again, like the idea, like it doesn't really matter like whether you're trying to build it into something or you just want to share something for hopefully to impact someone else in some positive way. Like that's still marketing.
Yeah.
Like you don't think of it as business, that's fine, but like that's still marketing. You're still marketed in something. You're still promoting something. So things like you mentioned SEO, which is search engine optimization, which is making your content more likely to be shown when someone Googles something or searches for something on the internet. Like that's still an important piece. How you create the graphic design that goes with it, the language you use, the places you go, the way you share, the platform you share, whether you are trying to, if on the extreme, grow something that eventually will become your full-time thing, or simply just being like, or sharing your book, or just being like, this 5-minute thing I do in the morning, like killing it. Everyone in my school loves it. Maybe some teacher in some other state will do it. It's the same thing. And I think that's where the course really touches on, is like, doesn't matter where you're at. Like, we're going to talk business, but you don't have to think that you're a business. You don't even have to go establish a business or anything like that. It's the same best practices that go into it, because in the end, whether you were trying to expose people and get their attention to get them to buy something from you, or expose people to something and get their attention because you want to change their life, it's the same. Now, there's some things that might go on that might be different, because when you go way over to this side, if you're all about the money, whatever, like some people, obviously we see people who do things that we don't agree with. And like, so that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the actual tactics of like, how do you get in front of people? How do you share things, and how do you, whatever. So,
and doing it authentically. Like, I don't know if that ends up being our focus today, and feel free in the comments if you have a direction you want us to go to share there, because we'll talk about anything that you're interested in. But I know a lot of the struggle that I've talked about with people I've met with recently, or it deals with the course as well, is not wanting to come off as salesy and disingenuous. We see a lot of people that, let's use books, for example, because people write books all the time. If I'm trying to put out a book and I know that the content in there, it's not inappropriate to want people to buy your product, because what I have in this book I know is valuable. It's going to change educators' lives and therefore students, and I want to get it into people's hands. But the time that it took to write it and the physical nature of it does require a financial commitment. You need to put $10, $12, $24 to buy this book. I think that the struggle I've seen a lot of educators have is they say, I wrote this book, now go buy it. And it becomes a salesy process where you're like, have you read my book yet? Go buy my book. Here's my link, buy my book. And that feels disingenuous, because you've taken the reason of why you wrote the book out of your marketing. And now you're just trying to tell them to spend their money. And that, as I know, is typically when people come to us the first time, they're trying to figure out how to have a genuine relationship between their product and the people that they know it will serve.
Yeah, and I think the catch is the process should be sharing the message, not sharing the thing.
Yes.
Sharing the value of it, not sharing the thing that actually has to be purchased for it. And when you like, and I think you make a good point, because when I say buy my book, I'm no longer saying, hey, Rae, I want to help you with this book.
Right.
I'm saying I want you to help me by buying it, versus just continuing to share things and then making it possible for you to discover that I have a book. And so there's, on the team, like we've done this like the whole time. It's been, we always say help versus sell. We help first. We always help. And a key to that is that we help without any expectation, which means if you never purchase anything, it doesn't really matter. Like, we don't care. We still help. And that's the mentality to stick with, because it doesn't matter. Like if what you're doing is actually to serve and what you're doing actually has value, it doesn't matter necessarily if they ever buy from you, as long as they eventually get that information. And if you're just there helping them, they're more likely to discover that book that you wrote or that product you created that is going to help them. So now, with all that said, there's also, and there's something that we've realized, Chad and I had a conversation a while back about this, and then we talked about it, about like, we've always said help versus sell, but sometimes we actually sell via helping, is what we typically, as we do at Teach Better, because typically people want to work with us because we're always helping and we don't care whether you buy from us or not. Sometimes you actually have to help by selling, because sometimes you, and what I mean by that is not selling like used car salesman, sleazy stuff, but like selling in the sense of positioning yourself, positioning your message, and working to make sure the message and educating people to actually be able to receive the message, because you know what you have can help them. And that is not buy my book, buy my book. That is talking about the topics that are in your book, talking about the importance of it, so that someone who potentially is going to purchase goes, oh yeah, you know what, that actually makes a lot of sense. I should look for things like that. And then you've positioned yourself so that when they look, they find it. Boom, now you sold your book, and now you're able to help them. So there's a lot of ways to go out, and I think it's tough, because I think what happens a lot of times is people go, okay, I'm not a business person, I don't do this. I got a book though, like I need people to buy it, and they go, okay, so I'll just ask everyone to buy it. But like, there's just, and that's, I think in the course that's coming out, like we approach like, how do you actually just position yourself to sell it, and position yourself more at the same time, be positioned to serve and to help people regardless, and they go hand in hand. So I'm not sure
Well,
if
and it's
that made sense. I was
interesting.
all over the place, but
No, I think this topic's all over the place because it's such a big topic. So I
yeah.
apologize if we're coming across as, messy, but our hope is that maybe something of this sparks an idea and you reach out, independently, or, and get an answer. But it's interesting because I also learned from you that selling something, the way to sell it is not necessarily financial. Getting people's email address or getting people's, whatever, is a way to also have them give you something that allows you to better reach them in the future, which is absolutely valuable to you. If you have a downloadable resource, if you don't need $2 from the downloadable resource, maybe you make it free, but getting their email address does allow you to then continue to reach out and support that person after that download has been consumed by them. So there's so many things here. I do want to comment, Jeff, there's a comment in here by Lori saying that she really appreciates this discussion so far. She wants to talk about this further because she's struggling sharing ideas. What I'm reading from her comment is that there's a little bit of like imposter syndrome, which I
She
think
says, I don't feel like an expert yet. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of educators feel. And it's so funny when we're like, oh, I don't feel like an expert yet. And yet I don't know about Lori specifically, but how long do you have to be in the field to consider yourself an expert? Do you ever consider yourself an expert? And do you have to consider yourself an expert to provide value to somebody else? Because this imposter syndrome I hear about all the time. And I think it does stifle educators' creativity in this space, because their mindset is, well, I shouldn't be doing that because somebody I know has more experience. So they're allowed to do it and I'm not. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, first off, that's not exclusive to educators. That's just humans, right?
That's humans, yes.
We see that everywhere. But the answer is like, you have to be in the bid for 0 days. Like I guarantee there's some people I guarantee you there's a whole bunch of people who are not educators who can bring a lot of value to educators talking about education. And they would not be considered an expert, but that doesn't mean that they don't have an idea that could actually potentially impact your school, your classroom, and your students. And the same thing for you. What I typically say when I see something like that, and I've said this it's been a while since I said this to you, but I say it to others on our team, like, Lori, the fact that you're even thinking about it means that you are not, that you are already positioned to do something, because you're thinking differently than someone who would not have anything to share, if that makes sense, right? So because you're something in your head where you're going, I think this could be valuable to someone else. So that already puts you in a different class, because you're thinking differently. Not that the classes are better or worse or anything like that, but so the truth is, like, share it out. What's the worst that can happen? Like, only one person gets impacted. Now you're only impacting 120 kids that you never saw, right?
So it's interesting when you say that. I think people's focus on like, well, an expert impacts everyone. I'm not smart
Sure.
enough to impact everyone. And I think to your point, Jeff, okay, fine. Maybe you only impact educators that have been in the field for 6 months. Does that mean that you shouldn't be sharing your idea because you can only impact a 1% of the community? Like, no, that's incredibly valuable. That's hundreds and thousands of people and children and everything in between. So just because you don't consider yourself smarter than every single educator in the world doesn't mean that the value that you're going to share can't impact somebody.
Well, in those experts or whoever you put in there, edu celebrities, sometimes you hear them called, people who have massive followings and stuff, they might say things in an incredible way. They might talk about things, they might talk about similar things, or even say almost the exact same thing as you, but you might say it differently in your own way. And that educator over there might not get the right feeling from that expert, might not hear them, might not like them, might have had a bad running, whatever, might not relate to them. And the way you say it actually impacts them. And like, so that's a huge piece that you have to remember. Like it's you almost have to flip it. If you have something that you think even a little bit might impact another person and provide them with some sort of positive experience and then potentially impact further beyond that, and you don't share it, you're being selfish. Like, I'd actually argue like you're a bad educator for not sharing it. I'm going to go that far, because
that's dramatic.
If you're supposed to be serving and your goal is to serve kids, and you're sharing that, you're writing that blog or writing your book or going on Twitter and saying, hey, I have a book, and sharing it, or taking the course and learning about it, whatever, if that has a potential to impact more kids and your goal is to impact kids and you don't do that, then you're a bad educator.
Oh, okay. I will say, Jeff, to your point,
I don't actually mean you're a bad educator.
I like this concept because imposter syndrome is something that we could talk on forever. And maybe we should talk on this more frequently, because I know that so many of us on the team still feel it. I still am like, I have no idea why you like trust me and my ideas. But I do have those moments where I sit with an educator and something that I've said 100 times, they haven't heard yet. So when I say it to them, they're like, oh, that's really helpful. So the next layer of this is, once you've decided that you're going to move beyond this imposter syndrome, once you've decided that you can help in some way, how do you make sure that it reaches the audience that actually you're going to be impacting? And then that comes into like what the course is about, which now that you have this idea, now that you have this product, whether it be a idea that you want to share, a downloadable resource, a book, now that it exists, how do you make sure that somebody actually sees it? Because I know a lot of educators say, okay, I'm going to blog, I'm going to put myself out there. So they create their own website, they create their own blog, and then they see no traction. Maybe there's only 2 readers. And you're like, well, now I decided to do the hard step, which was share my voice, but no one's reading it. So now I feel unfulfilled because I didn't get to meet my hope and goal, which was to positively support somebody. So that's kind of like what the course is. That's kind of what the Edupreneur Mastermind, I know, focuses on in some regard, is once you've decided something, actually giving it traction to reach the people that you hope to impact.
Yes.
There's so many things we could go into about this. I just
because any way we go could go a long ways. So
I know. So
someone did ask about the Edupreneur class. So it's a mastermind we meet. It's like a committed group that we meet every week and stuff. And we do cover a lot of this. So we have people that are in there that are in a wide range of that spectrum that Rae talked about. A couple people that actually have now full-time, and some that are literally just trying to figure out, they have ideas and they haven't even started. So like, it is that full range there. And we cover a lot of stuff. Right now, we're really digging into like email marketing and stuff, but we cover a lot of stuff based on where everyone's at. So
yeah, so if this is interesting to you, depending on where on the scale it's interesting, I would like to suggest maybe 3 or 4 different like directions you could take from this. Is that okay, Jeff?
Sure.
The first is you could go join the Edupreneur Mastermind, which you can get full details of at teachbetter.com. That does have a cost. It meets weekly, and there's like some deep dive content coaching experience there. I literally could not sing the praises enough of the people in that group that are doing incredible things. So
I just want to highlight there's also a private community there, which is super valuable because it's in between the meetings, the sharing, the conversations going on. It's really, there's a lot. There's some awesome people in that group. So,
and if you want to learn more about that before you pull the trigger, I would reach out to Jeff or Joshua Stamper, because they're the ones that tag team that group. So I can speak to it because I like to attend, but they can give you full details. So that would be maybe a next step if that's interesting to you. The other next step could be that we're releasing a course on this specifically about marketing, like sharing your voice once you have something you want to share. And that comes out here in a few weeks. It's a free course. So I hope you enjoy it. It goes into everything from designing the narrative of what you want shared to then finding the audience that you want to consume the story. So that exists for you. And again, we'll be out in a few weeks. And then the other element is just email us and ask if you have any of these topics. If we've said something that's interesting to you, or we used a vocabulary word that you're not sure what it means, please know that anytime you reach out to Jeff, myself, or anybody on the team, we know that it's because you're pursuing being better in an area, and we'd love to support you. So feel free to just DM us, text us, email us, and we'd be happy to share anything and everything we can to help you be successful. I think that this is a tricky topic sometimes to find a mentor or support group for. And I just want educators to know that the conversations are happening. And so if you're seeking that, we can make it happen. Yeah,
that could have said it better, except for I will make one rule. When I meet with you, I'm going to just whisper the entire time.
Oh my God, so creepy.
Okay, let's move on. Let's highlight someone in our community. How about that?
Let's do that.
I can't remember whether I'm supposed to come back, because I was supposed to come back for the last one and you started talking. So now I'm like, is she going to start talking again, or am I supposed to talk? Does she want me to put the screen up now? I don't know what I'm doing. I need direction.
Here's the point of this, Jeff. First off, I run the show and you're my co-host.
I'm clear. That's very clear.
Can I make a comment that the whole story about the whispering thing was because my phone was going to die, and I focused more on telling you the story and never plugged in my phone, and now it's dead. So I just want you to know that I only set that stupid.
Okay. How does that have anything to do with your phone dying?
Because I only set the stupid whisper alarm because I was worried my phone would die because it wasn't plugged in. Now it's dead because I was so excited. You were in
bed, your phone, you're like, oh, I can't set an alarm because my phone's going to be dead in the morning anyway, so I'll use the whisperer instead.
Yeah. So in my mind, I'm like,
you left that completely out of the story earlier, but
yeah. Okay. So when I get up in the morning, I'll plug my phone in when I'm on Wednesday Wake Up. But I was so excited to tell you the story that now my phone's dead. So if anybody calls or texts me, I can't be contacted.
She's gonna be like, "Don't worry, Ray, I plugged it in."
Oh my God. Let's do the community highlight. Community highlight. Jeff, you're up.
Let's talk. We met this guy. We ran into him last week in New Orleans.
Don't worry, I'm getting a charger. I'm still here.
And hang out with him a little bit. So let's talk about Henry Turner. I'm pulling up his Twitter. Is that good?
Yeah, I love Henry Turner. Not only did we, no, I mean, I've been following him forever, but it was super cool because I randomly bumped into him in the hallway, and then I think, hung out with him the entire rest of the day. It was awesome.
How am I not following him? I thought I'm following, but I just followed Henry. There you go.
Well, I've been following him forever, and I've read his book, and I love Henry. And also, we got a beer with him for like hours, so he's awesome.
He's just a good guy, very intelligent guy. Talked to actually a couple of different people while we were out there about his book and how much they love, because they were coming up and telling him and stuff. Good guy, a lot of fun. We had a drink with him, which was a plus. So
yeah, he's a DBC author. He's doing great things. He's an educational leader. But also just a good all-around educator at heart. Obviously, he does speaking at conferences all the time. That's obviously where we bumped into him. But if you're not following Henry, I just think he was so genuine in his desire to connect with good people. Yes. And that's so fitting with our network. We just want to all expose ourselves to the people that are going to help us be better. I think Henry epitomizes that concept. So I follow him on Instagram a lot, but this obviously is his Twitter. Go ahead.
If you're listening, his Twitter is @TurnerHJ. So you can follow him there. Which, by the way, if you're listening on the podcast, thanks. We appreciate you listening.
Yeah, shout out to Teach Better Talk podcast.
We haven't mentioned the podcast yet.
Well, if you guys haven't subscribed, rated, and reviewed our podcast, we'd really appreciate it. I love reading those comments because we
haven't
used to
done
do
that.
that.
We should do that. We used to do that. We should do that from one of these.
We should, because we used to on Teach Better Talk podcast episodes, like for the first 300 episodes, we'd
We could.
read a review.
Mhm. So we
And
could bring the review up on screen. We'll just have to block out the other reviews that aren't good, and so that we only see the
Jeff,
positive
there's
one.
only good reviews on Teach Better Talk podcast.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, let's do. We should remember that. Let's do that next week.
When did we start the podcast? Was that 2018?
2018.
And now it's 2023.
It is in fact 2023. It was August of 2000. The end of August 2018 is when we launched it officially.
Isn't it funny? Because when we've gone through the last few years of the podcast, we've gone from releasing 1 episode a month to 2 episodes a month to episodes every single day to then multiple episodes every single day. Now we release like 2 or 3 a week. It's just endless content.
When it's just we've changed the format multiple times, because it was interview, that it was now, and then it was like just all the everyday live stuff, and then now it's a combination. There's some interview going on here, but there's also this nonsense.
Are you saying that we didn't provide value today? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we.
Let's end with a challenge. Maybe that'll provide value.
Okay, here we go. Our value for this morning. Get ready. Are you going to talk? Am I going to talk?
I'm talking. Welcome back to Wednesday Wake Up with the Teach Better team. We are live right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn.
Ooh.
You're welcome for getting that right. We've been joking, but it's been a fun. The comments section has been awesome. There's conversations going on amongst people. There's sharing of all sorts of links and stuff in there. So go check that out. We've talked for the most part, we've talked. We talked about a lot of nonsense too. We talked about this idea of how do we share things that either we want to turn into something, or we just want to try to impact, or we're just like, hey, this is cool and I want people to see it, or I wrote a book, or I wrote a blog, or I started a website, whatever. When you're sharing things out, and in my mind, it all comes to something that I like to talk about when I go to conferences, is this idea of increasing your impact. And so I want to encourage you, whether you're watching live, watching later, listening, whatever, to just take some point in the next few days and think, how can I increase my impact? And I want you to remember that sort of spectrum that Rae laid out. Like, you could go, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to launch something. I'm going to join the Edupreneur Mastermind. I'm going to do this. Or you could literally be like, you know what? I'm going to tweet more often and share out things that are working in my classroom, and share out books that I'm reading, or passages from books that I'm reading. And possibly that what you're doing is literally just going, hey, you know what? I'm reading a bunch of educational books and things that are helping me be a better communicator or a better teacher, whatever. And I'm going to share things out. And if you don't see how that increases your impact, someone might read that the way you phrase it and go, you know what? I'm going to go buy that book now. And while that has nothing to do with you selling them anything, you actually sold them on that book, quote unquote, and you've increased your impact, because now they're going to go get that value that maybe they weren't aware of, or maybe they saw from the author 15 times, but that author said, buy my book, and you said, here's the value, and they went and got it. So it can go that way. You can blog with the team, whatever it is, just find whatever way you can. How can you increase your impact? And by the way, this could be as little as also as just peeking around a corner, whatever the room next to you, and be like, hey, I want to show you this thing I did yesterday that like really worked. And I don't know if you're struggling with this thing, but maybe this will help you, and see where it goes from there. That, by the way, is literally how this team started. Is Chad said, I don't want to tell teachers how to teach. I want to say, hey, this thing helped me teach better. Maybe it'll help you. And that's literally how it started. So anyway, that's
I'm excited I love this. I'm excited to connect with educators that are eager to learn more, always up for a conversation or two. So let us know. And we hope you guys have a wonderful Wednesday and work on sharing the incredible things that you're doing. So Jeff, thanks for awkwardly listening to me yell about my robot, and I appreciate you.
We don't yell about robots. We whisper about them.
Okay. Creepy. Don't whisper to someone today. That's also my challenge to you. Everyone should speak in a normal voice. Okay. Okay.
Have a great rest of your week.
Bye, guys. Love you.
We appreciate you.